like to call our meeting to order, 7:04. Pursuant to the Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Laws of 1975, this meeting will be duly advertised in the Chapter 80 Times and Sentinel. The municipal clerk of the township has been duly notified of the requirements for this, and notices have been met. Would please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Fellas? Here. Sally? Here. Eileen? Here. Orlowski? Here. Cunningham? Here. Doyle? Here. Regosa? Here. Michael? Here. Trace? Here. Brandon?
Here.
We have one.
All right, we have two presentations this evening, budget hearings, as well as an update on the talent acquisition and pension committee. This is the budget first.
Check 1, 2. Okay, thank you, Mr. Brand, members of the board. Let's see if we can leave this here. See what joke you have to be smarter than the equipment you work on. It's that time of year, right? So end of April, early May, boards of education all over the state are obligated by statute to approve the budget. You can see our budget process up here. It's about a 6-month process, starting off with the board approving the timeline, and then the principals and supervisors will meet with their staff, go through programming, taking a look at the historical spending, and submit their requests to the school business administrator. At that time, Ms. Birmingham, she'll compile all the funding requests. She'll meet with myself, we'll review them, and then we meet with the principals and supervisors individually to review the requests. From there, we develop a preliminary budget, and we review that, once again, with the administrative staff, taking a look at expenditures and prioritizing them. Typically, it's a waiting game at that point, waiting for state aid numbers, but at that point, we do update the board gives us feedback from what they're looking for. And then once the state aid numbers are received, we have work sessions with the board, and the board is required to approve a preliminary budget that gets sent to the county office. So the executive county superintendent and the executive county BA then review the budget to make sure it meets statutory requirements. Once that is approved, it's then bounced back to the board. At what point then we review, make sure we want it exactly where we want it. This year we did have to make a few changes just due to some late funding changes that this Birmingham will be going over in just a little while. At that point, we do then advertise for public review, and voila, it is April 24th, and we are here presenting the budget. Just some budget development considerations that the principals and supervisors, myself, Ms. Birmingham, take a look at each year. Of course, strategic planning, we take a look at the supplies, enrollment, state grants, student performance review, all of our efficiency efforts, any DOE initiatives that are coming down the line. Of course, making sure that our facilities are upkept and to meet the needs of our students. Taking a look at our replacement plans. We have a technology replacement plan, our vehicle replacement plan for school buses, maintenance vehicles, and so forth. We also take a look at our mid-year budget review. The county office meets with each school district in the county mid-year to take a look at where we are spending and take a look at each and every account. So we take a look at those recommendations really that come down from the county. We look at obviously spending analysis from the historical health benefits renewal is a big one, of course. Being mindful of tax impact. And then, this year, in regards to state allocations, we received our state allocations, our initial state allocations, and then there was a last minute change. Some efficiency efforts, I think I'll give kudos to Ms. Birmingham and her team. They are really mainly in charge of all these items that you see here. A lot of consortiums, a lot of competitive service bids. There's cooperative purchasing items up there that you can see that we belong to. The solar power project that we still have in place, we're managing our website here in-house, a lot of safety grants and different grant applications that she's in charge of. So with that, next couple slides, just some of the things that we have in the budget and quite frankly, that did not make the budget. I'll be honest with you, this was the most difficult budget in my 10 years as a superintendent. Very, very tough to balance this budget this year. You can see some of the programs and resources that are all included in the budget. Our after-school clubs, majority funding for field trips, we're continuing with that. iReady, Benchmark, our summer school programs, which we are still running off to some of the federal grants, the COVID grants, which is excellent. Our behavioral supports, counseling supports. From a technology standpoint, maintaining that technology replacement plan, our Chromebooks, laptops, smart boards, all of those are still in there. A lot of our software programs that we count on to make sure that we run an efficient operation. Real time, our frontline applications, our substitute management, school messenger, transminder, Lincoln, all of those things that we use each and every day. We also did include some funds to make sure that we are secure in regards to protecting ourselves from a cyber breach. From a staffing standpoint, you can see all of our staffing there. I do want to point out that this year we did need to reduce that staffing line item by about $200,000. So we're going to take care of that through attrition, but we're maintaining all of the rest of the staffing levels. We are continuing with our school resource officers, which is an excellent piece to make sure that the community feels that their kids are safe, and we're proud of that. From facilities, capital projects, the board actually received and will be approving ROD grants. ROD grant actually was released by the Department of Education, given the opportunity for districts to apply for facilities projects, and they will pick up 40% of it. The key piece here is we were able to apply for those because we did have capital reserve funds. So that's important to point out. So you can see some of the projects that we're looking at for next year: septic system, fuel tanks, fire suppression systems, upgrading our door access, those type of things. Curriculum instruction, funds to continue with our updates, of course, making sure that our curriculum aligns with the New Jersey student learning standards. We're using grant funds to purchase our math and ELA resources this year. We are continuing to provide a professional development much needed, and continuing with the data warehousing software, which we know is Lincoln. From a special services homeless standpoint, of course, we have to position ourselves to be prepared for any of those out-of-district placements that may come in. We already know which out-of-district placements will be there for next year. Our transportation that goes along with that, any program services that our special education students need. But I do need to point out that we did reduce those amounts in regards to contingencies for our special education out-of-district, just in efforts to balance the budget. From a transportation standpoint, we budgeted our funds for all of our transportation operations, but we are closely monitoring, of course, the fuel costs. Everybody's feeling the pain at the pump. We drive 1,200 miles every single day, so you can tell what it costs. Any fluctuation in fuel costs can really be damaging to a budget. For us, unfortunately, this year we were unable to budget for our new school buses per our replacement schedule. Unfortunately, we just could not get that in the budget to balance the budget this year. I mentioned before the school resource officers, and we have grant funds to update our safety placards in the classroom. We made out pretty well health benefit-wise. We do have 8 staff members that will be eligible for full family benefits, and we received a very favorable benefit premium renewal as compared to the state. I believe the state went up double digits this year, and we were low to 3.3%, so very favorable for us. And from a strategic plan standpoint, we're continuing the exploration of that universal pre-K. You're going to hear a talent acquisition and recruitment update here this evening. Some of the work that committee is doing, making sure we're maintaining our communication with our parents and our community, and using some grant funds to support the SEL activities. I always jokingly each year say, the superintendent tells you what we're spending it on, and the VA has to tell us how we are going to afford it. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Birmingham.
So this slide will start off with the analysis of appropriations. All of the things that Mr. Walton just talked about are pretty much categorized here on this screen here. Classroom instruction includes expenses directly related to the classroom, such as teacher salaries, instructional supplies and materials, out-of-district placements, or tuition-related costs. The net increase in this category is mainly attributed to contractual salary increases for teaching staff, as well as the associated tuition-related costs. Support services include supplemental expenses related to the teaching process that are designed to assess and improve students' achievements, such as assisting the instructional staff with the content and process of providing learning experiences. The net increase is mainly attributed to one-to-one nursing need and assistive technology items. The administrative cost function includes expenses associated with the activities of establishing and administering policy for operating the school district, the schools, central services, and technology. The category's net increase is attributed to strategic and long-range facility planning and those associated professional costs, along with other negotiated contractual costs. The operation and maintenance of the plant includes expenses associated with required maintenance, custodial services, care and upkeep of the grounds, and security. This net increase is attributed to allocating funds for a second district school resource officer. Student transportation services includes expenses related to transporting students between home and school, including supervision of transportation services, vehicle operation services, monitoring services, and vehicle and maintenance services. The net decrease is attributed to reducing funds for contingency special education outside placements. The employee benefits category includes expenses related to payroll and salary payments, such as FICA tax, pension liability, workman's compensation insurance, health benefits, and tuition reimbursement. The net increase is attributed to an increase in workman's compensation insurance and an increased rate of reimbursement for purse repayment to the state of New Jersey. In the capital outlay category is used to record equipment purchases and capital improvements. The net increase is attributed to district-wide projects such as replacing the septic system's components, upgrading the fire alarm system to an addressable head system, upgrading the door access control systems, and replacing boilers and domestic hot water heaters throughout the district. Please. This chart shows the expenditures listed here as a graph, a little bit of a picture idea for it. Obviously, classroom instruction, again, tables, desks, replacements, instructional supplies, musical instruments, bookshelves, laminators, copy paper, field trips, student teaching, hospitalizing and institutionalized student teaching, technology items, out-of-district tuition, return school, and teacher and paraprofessional salaries. Obviously, that makes up the bulk of this chart at 38%. Support services, again, nursing office supplies, educational and teacher subscriptions, speech, OT, PT costs, PD, and curriculum items. Administrative costs are Board of Education expenses, membership, workshop, and conferences, administrative salaries, insurance, legal and professional, such as auditor, architect, engineer, and school physician costs, advertising, and time card. Operation, maintenance, and plants are copiers, electricity, gas, custodial, and maintenance salaries, water conditioning, door repairs, security, grounds, upkeep, air filters, ceiling tiles, etc. Student transportation service, again, the bus driver and aides, secretary and supervisor salaries, also the fleet maintenance costs and inventory parts, along with low radios, fuel, and contracted services. Employee benefits, again, are the FICA tax, first pension liability, workman's compensation insurance, health benefits, and waiver payments, and tuition reimbursement. Again, capital outlay are the district-wide equipment items, infrastructure projects, or those items considered assets as their cost is greater than $2,000. This chart shows expenditures by a service or an item chart. Clearly, you can see salaries and benefits take up a chunk of the budget at 72%. Next is contracted services. Those are listed as 5%. Those were again home instruction, outside vendors, school position, shared services for IT, etc. The other purchase services are like mileage reimbursement and travel expenses, student information and food service management software, telecommunications, insurance, aid in lieu, and joint transportation agreements. Outside placements are those tuition-related costs to other educational facilities for regular and special education, tuition private school for disabled students within and out of the state, as well as charter schools. Support supplies, 2%, representing nursing supplies, instructional posters and cards, supplemental curriculum materials, planners, calendars, student publications, buildings and ground supplies, ceiling tiles, facility supplies for plumbing, electrical, HVAC systems, and vehicle and transportation fleet maintenance supplies. Instructional supplies, again, include textbooks, curriculum supplies and materials, Chromebooks, smart boards, curriculum subscriptions, student consumables, and teacher resources. Utilities are simply electricity and natural gas. And again, the capital outlay for the building and land improvements. Slide, please. So here's the revenue side. Those other slides cover the expenses, and here's how we're going to balance the budget and pay for those things. First listed item is fund balance, and that is used to balance the budget. State aid, you'll see that there was a decrease of roughly $256,000. Cumulatively, the district has lost $1.2 million in state aid since the 21-22 budget for fiscal year. Item of tuition is an increase of $405,000. This includes payments from Newfield Board of Education that are estimated according to enrollment projections and are agreed upon for the 23-24 year, as well as the reconciliation of tuition for the 21-22 year. Next is transportation, and there is no change in the budgeted estimated revenue as based on the 22-23 revenue projections and as estimated and agreed upon with Newfield Board of Ed. Miscellaneous income includes funds estimated from the Special Education Medicaid Initiative, otherwise known as SEMI, as well as 21-22 funds that were encumbered that are then payable in 2022-23. Local tax levy, an increase of $523,000. The district has been tax conscientious when compiling budgets. Each year, the tax levy can be increased up to 2% of the previous year's levy. Should the budget not utilize the full 2% available, the remainder becomes band cap and is available to use within the next 3 budget years prior to expiration. Past 4 budgets have a total increase of 3.96%, where the max increase could have been 8%. Fiscal year 21 and fiscal year 22 budgets were approved with a 0% tax levy increase. Given the extenuating circumstances of the cumulative loss of state aid revenues plus other budgetary increases and expenses, it is necessary that the 23-24 budget was balanced with a 4.51% tax levy increase. Next item are reserve funds for maintenance reserve and capital reserve. Maintenance reserve is being used to support the general operating budget to fund expenses related to the district-wide required maintenance. And again, the capital reserve is being used for those broad grant eligible projects. Slide, please. And then here in Mr. Walton's terms, meat and potatoes, tax impact to the community. This chart shows the tax impact of the tax rate as equating to real growth values and tax dollars. The average home in Franklin Township is assessed at $188,766, which increased to $672 from the 22 year. The total 23-24 yearly tax is estimated to increase $56.93 for the average home value. Thank you very much.
Any questions? Next on our agenda is our talent acquisition and retention
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Bryant. Thank you, members of the Board of Education, for giving us the opportunity tonight to provide an update from the Talent Acquisition and Retention Committee. When we got together as a committee, we certainly recognize that we have many outstanding teachers within our school district. And having the opportunity to take a look at bringing additional teachers in to join our team and become part of our outstanding staff, and then also recognizing that some of the teachers leave us. And it was a decision of the committee to initially focus on the retention piece. And there, taking a look to see if we could identify some specific trends as to why people are leaving. And then working to figure it out and developing a plan moving forward. So as mentioned in the fall, when we provided the initial update, we said that when we came back in the spring, we would have some data. We were going to take a look at a few different points that then could be used to help us to drive our decision making. So with that said, we have 3 different areas that we want to take a look at and provide updates to tonight. Updated data on resignations, all right, taking a look at the salary guide and specifically looking at the TFEA guide, as that is the area where we are seeing over the top the highest percentage of staff members who are leaving our district. And then also reviewing exit interview data. So jumping into it, we take a look here at the nuts and bolts of individuals who have left us. And again, looking for trends. And there we can see that over the past 5 years, all right, you notice we have 63 certificated staff who have left our district. That means 45% of our instructional staff has left. All right, with that said, the average departure step, noticing that 4 out of the 5 years, those individuals, the average was on step 5 of the salary guide. And then in 22-23, our current school year, where we've seen 15 certificated staff members leave, the average departure step has been on step 7. So immediately, a trend piece jumped out at the committee, and that was those people who are leaving us, where are they in terms of their careers? And we could see that generally speaking, they're still in the initial steps of their career. All right, from there, it was a matter of looking at to the reasons why. All right, and number 1, of course, taking a look at money. All right, where did these individuals fall on the guide? Could that have been a component as to the reason why they left? Also, taking a look at exit interview data. We opened up building exit interviews last spring. And from there, came up with a series of questions that would be used for staff members to voluntarily complete. After all, when they leave, you can't flat out say you're required to do this or you're not going anywhere. So voluntarily complete, and then provide us feedback, again, so we would have the opportunity to identify some trend data. All right, just a little bit, and as I mentioned, all right, why this salary guide? Because the TFSSA, the Township of Franklin Support Staff Association, and the Township of Franklin Principal and Supervisors Association have not seen an elevated number of departures over the past 5 years. It's the TFEA where we have seen that elevated number. And also with the recognition, there are teachers. So in terms of direct impact on the children, definitely a very serious matter. All right, looking where we are in terms of the guide and knowing and in the back of your mind, the initial trend that 4 out of 5 years of the past 5 years, the average step on the guide for the individuals who left was step 5. That this year, it's step 7. So putting into perspective on the guide where we are, all right, noticing the starting salary, the median salary, and so forth. When we take a look then, Because after all, the people are going to different districts. We found that, and I'll get to that a little bit later on in one of the exit interview questions. But the question is, all right, so they're leaving, they're going to different districts. Okay, why? And taking a look at the money aspect initially, so jumping out at us with the source of the Gloucester County Roundtable Association, that's Superintendent's Roundtable, and seeing also where we had NJSBA provide us data. We notice, all right, the extensive chart, and that's nice to look at, but let's really look at the data here. When we go to the bottom level, all right, the current step 1 salary, current Franklin contract 21-22 comparison versus the current county average. All right, we see at the current county average that we're below by $3,660. Once these individuals being TFEA members, okay, move to step 5 on the guide, where are they then? Are they making up some of that difference? We see that the gap has actually grown. In terms of the county average for step 5, Township of Franklin is below the county average by $5,514. Then we move to step 10, and we see that that gap has further increased to $10,253. Again, going back to the initial trend piece. 4 out of the past 5 years, the individuals have been on step 5. That's the average for those resigning. And then the 1 additional year of this year being step 7. So we can clearly see where these are individuals who are being impacted in this range. When we get to step 15, we see that the gap has swelled even more, $15,809. So clearly, in terms of, do I dare say, losing ground? And then once we get to the top of the scale, all right, we're at, again, that there the gap has shrunken to 3,508. Now, when the committee saw this and took a look, and then it was a matter of, all right, let's pull out some real data points here. Okay, came up with number 1, below the county average. Okay, to start off. Then from there, step 5, step 10, growing significantly in terms of the gap with the county average. Also, please note, step 10 is the equivalent to the average starting salary in the county. When we get to step 15, it swelled $15,000 below the county average. So we have large inequities within the increments throughout the guide. So average increment between steps 1 and 15 is $872. So putting that right out there, the average raise for steps 1 through 15 is $872 per year. Once you get to step 16, then the average raise is over $4,000 a year. All right, the guide contains 1 to 2 steps more than the county average. Also jumping out was the lowest salary in Gloucester County for steps 5, 10, and 15. All right, as already indicated, slow moving in steps 1 through 15 in regards to financial impact as compared to Gloucester County School District. And then Franklin progressively falling further behind the county average up until step 15. So then, that data is self-explanatory. Then the next step was we want to take a look at the exit interview data and see, does our thought, looking at the numbers, is that substantiated with any level of evidence with the exit interview? Is there other information that we need to be aware of? All right, and driving the committee is the idea that we want to keep our excellent teachers. So that's in the back of our mind the entire time as we're looking at this. Now, as I already mentioned, it was the spring of 22 that we started to develop and then refine the exit interview and figuring out the questions that we would have, putting them out there, refining as necessary. So at this point, I'll share the exit interview data up to where we are for this year. So we had exit interview forms sent were 20. Now going all the way back to the beginning of this presentation, I told you there were 15 certified staff that resigned this year. Why is that number 20? Because with the exit interview data, we also include non-certificated staff. You can see the exit interview form responses received. We received 12 out of 20, so we asked 20 people to complete it. 12 replied back. All right, certified staff member responses were 8. So we had 15 that left us this year, 8 of them responded and provided us some feedback. Non-certified support staff, well, 4 out of 5. So overall, we had a 60% return rate. All right, the chart indicates different years that people were at, but notice this is certified staff and non-certified staff. Okay, but there you can see a spread over time. So some of the questions are very direct. Others provide for open-ended response. All right, going through each of these with the response information that we have. How long have you been considering the decision to leave the district? 58.3% stated 0 to 3 months. So these are individuals who identified a job opportunity, put in for it, and probably got it right off the bat. Quite frankly, reading between the lines on that, as a school administrator, that tells us that we are training our people very well. They are very marketable throughout the county. I actually find it in a way hurtful to say that. Continuing along, all right, when we look at, this is not an open-ended question, but it was a series of boxes that could be checked. Please select all the factors that contributed to your decision not to continue working in our district. And there we can see there's a breakdown over, many different areas, but there's one that jumps out right there. Salary, lower than desired. All right, by far that's in the lead, and then that does substantiate going back to that step 5, step 7 window, and the thought of the gap of the salary guide. This provides evidence that that definitely can be playing a part. All right, then we went through an open-ended piece. Out of all the factors you selected in the previous question, which factor had the most significant impact on your decision to leave the district? You can see there's a few different things here. You have family health benefits. All right, there was somebody, they said mental health. But you also see a common trend. All right, And there we go to salary, 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 the pay. Are you considering pursuing a career outside the education profession or field? 4 individuals actually said yes. 3 of them provided us the field that they were looking to go into. IT work, writing or music, and then data analytics. The overall daily interactions with other staff members in the district, 91.7% responded positive. How satisfied were you with your salary? Well, 50% extremely dissatisfied, 25% slightly dissatisfied. So 75% stated that it was salary, which doubles back, triples back on the other information provided. Please select all the supports that you received in efforts to assist in meeting the responsibilities. And here we received quite a bit of positive information. There were actually 5 different categories where over 50% of the respondents stated that they received these items in an effort to receive the responsibilities. And there, child study team support, building level support, peer support, team leaders, and professional learning communities. So clearly these individuals felt that there were many different levels of support that they were receiving in helping them to do their job. Please select all the supports you did not receive but wish you had received during your employment in the district. Here we do have a breakdown over a few different areas. There was only one area that was over 50%. It was actually at 50%, and that was Board of Education support. Would you recommend working for the Township of Franklin Public School District to others? We had a vast array here. Okay, we had 25% that said yes. All right, so that's good. And then from there, we had some expansion on responses. All right, I loved working there, okay, but this continued, no, because the teacher paid. All right, yes for the overall experience and the family atmosphere. As far as some individuals stating they thought changes can be made, and that, was obviously in reference to salary. Only to people who have the talent and the resources. We didn't know exactly what that one was about unless resources were people who already had the money. We take a look at open-ended questions at the conclusion, recommendations to improve. And, competitive salary, benefits. All right, a list here. Talk to teachers that are unheard, pay your veteran teachers, health benefits before tenure. You can see there are quite a few pieces that are here, and all good pieces of information that demand consideration. Other comments near the end: pleasure to work in the district, making more money was best for my family. My mentor experience, frustrating, more support standards based, salary guide. These jumped out at us in the committee. They did. They were a glass of cold water. The ability to go work in another district and make $10,000 more immediately at their step 1 compared to our step 8 is the deciding factor. Administration has been nothing but supportive and helpful. I've devoted 7 years to this district and only make $51,700 and qualify for state assistance due to my low income. So there's the information that we garnered. I think in terms of trend data, and that really is what the committee values the most. Tight window of departure. 4 out of 5 years it was individuals on average, step 5. The one other year was step 7. So still at that lower end of the pay scale. All right, definitely falling further behind the county average with no positive action in closing the gap for 10 plus years. Salary lower than desired was the number one factor in the reason to leave the district. And then, pardon me, it's much easier to read with these. And then responding positively regarding the level of support provided. Over 50% stated that they received support through PLCs, peers, team leaders, building level, and also the child study team. With the one area that we reviewed, the one area of support they wish they had received more of. So there was trend data there, and that's information that we're going to use moving forward to try to help us as a committee in terms of retaining teachers. So there it is. There's our update. Our goal as a committee was to come back to you with real nuts and bolts information. Of course, I'm the one saying it, so I think we came back to you with real nuts and bolts information. But if there are questions, be happy to answer, or do the best I can to answer. Yes, Ms. Tracy.
When you say 50% of this people, personnel said that they would receive help from administration, that was 50% of the certified teaching staff, or 50% of the total of the 12 people?
That was 50% of the 12 people. Okay, and of those, we had 8 certified staff that had replied, plus 4 out of the 5 non-certified staff. So it was 50% of those individuals who replied.
Okay, so somebody teaching, somebody not.
Yes, yes. Okay, are there any other questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
We're going to the public comment watching the agenda item seven. The public in second. All in favor? Those abstained. Anyone in the public wish to comment? Please step forward. State
John Stagliano, teacher, Ritter School, 6th grade. These are agenda questions, okay? First, Mr. Birmingham, for you. You gave a lot of numbers. You presented a lot of information about where the money goes. We know, of course, that employee salaries are number one. I'm just curious, for all the years that I've been here, for the 32 years that I've been here, Franklin Township has been one of the lowest in cost per pupil in the county and in the state. Does that continue even despite those numbers? So we're still low in cost per pupil. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Second question. I just want to, the presentation that Mr. Kovic just did, Mr. Kovic, you mentioned that a large number of respondents said that they did 50% didn't get board support, but I also noticed a number you kind of passed over there that was 41.7%. 6 of the respondents said that they didn't feel satisfied with professional development. And I just want to point that out, okay, to the members of the board. We know the salaries are low. We're aware of that, all right? But again, I just want to clarify those two things that were presented in the public or in this portion tonight. Thank you.
anyone else wish to comment? Seeing no one, I make a motion to close public comment. So,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Those abstained. School board president report. I don't have really anything to report other than what we spoke about in our session regarding the marijuana facility that was proposed and the close proximity to one of our schools. And myself, again, this is Shane and Mr. Fellows at the Township Committee meetings with our concerns regarding that proposal at this time. Table and everything, so we're going to keep an eye closely on that and see if we could give thorough explanation for that. Unfortunately, we didn't talk about so, recommend
The workshop in October is scheduled for the 23rd through the 26th. May 23rd is the Camden, Gloucester County hybrid meeting at Adelphia's from 6 to 8:30. Governance 1 is virtual May 22nd from 7 to 9. Governance 2, 3, and 4, June 7th from 7 to 9. That's also virtual. And new board member orientation, if we haven't done it, is going to be September 16th. That's it.
last week was the deadline for the 20th.
April 30th.
So something that is probably
But it's not, sense.
Yeah.
Whether or not.
Yes. Any liaison reports?
I went to the ice cream social at Ritter, and I can say the kids really like ice cream a lot. It was a lot of fun, and I'm very good at dispensing cool, but we're not good, but we're ready. Got it?
Anyone else? Move on to the purple minutes. See the 315 or 320 as listed. Comments or concerns? So I make a motion to approve the minutes as listed. Second. All in favor? Opposed? Human resources, any changes?
There were a few changes, and I think we can update later those changes since the week update. F1 work with
that was a relation to members of the should have been on board. Are there any questions? Not a motion to approve human resources item as one for F-16 as recommended by the superintendent. Second. Any other comments or questions? Call the roll, please.
Kowalski?
Yes.
Cunningham?
Yes.
Doyle?
Yes.
Grosso?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Trace?
Yes.
Bella?
Yes.
Sally?
Yes.
Kathleen? Yes. Brett?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Education items.
No changes.
I make a motion to approve education items G1 through G5 recommended by the superintendent. Second. Second by Mr. Allen, no comments. Treasurer call roll, please.
Trace?
Yes.
Bella?
Yes.
Sally?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Kowalski?
Yes.
Cunningham?
Yes.
Doyle?
Yes.
Grosso?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Brett?
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, general administration superintendent.
No changes.
Any comments? Hearing none, I make a motion to approve general administration superintendent's report items H1 through H6 recommended. Second. Any other comments? Call please.
Doyle?
Yes.
Grosso?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Trace?
Yes.
Bella?
Yes.
Sally?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Kowalski?
Yes.
Cunningham?
Yes.
Brett?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Yes. Operations, please.
Yes, there were two changes. There was a grant added due to the timeframe that was presented and due that's bill number 60, the school climate change pilot program. In the amount of $6,660, and those funds are to be used for climate awareness initiatives such as the Westlands Institute field trip to river, and materials and supplies for green team activities and school gardens, given the constraints of the actual grant. Other change was obviously item number 22, building road school, resolution on there as discussed in the work session. And then item number 23, the consolidated grant, again, given the time frame of the amendments that need to take place prior to the closeout of the grant, which was placed on here for an amendment to move $8,500 from instructional supplies to non-instructional supplies. Those are the only changes.
Are there any questions? I would just like to point out, on 14, we discussed this in the work session, we got very generous donation from a company dealt with education supply, and that was coordinated through lending.
Sandy Lestewart from the Premier School, as well as Mr. Cook.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper, and Mr. Sandy for coordinating that donation very much. And then we also had a donation from the Furman family, for that Carolina and then also, just real quick, I don't want to pay them in executive session, but conversation regarding Lake Rose, the category rate from the conversations that we had at our work session. Mr. G, he's going to relay that to the auction companies and hopefully, relay that information to the bidder for that property. With that, if there's no other questions, I will make a motion to approve operations items, 5.1 through 5.3, inclusive of the budget, resolution, which is 21,
Second.
are there any comments or questions? Not call the roll, please.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Kowalski?
Yes.
Cunningham?
Yes.
Doyle?
Yes.
Fregoso?
Yes, but abstaining on one deliberation.
Michael?
Yes.
Trace?
Yes.
Alice?
Yes.
Sally?
Yes, but no to. Actually, can
Yes.
yes, to everything new.
Brad?
Yes, abstention.
Motion carried.
Moving on to old business. Michelle,
Thank you.
Moving on to old business, we have four goals listed as a standing item, and having four goals. We have the yearly planning calendar. Take a quick look. Right. You're saying
The plan.
if nothing was done in new business, is there any more members of the group? With that, I'll open up a second public comment portion. And it's 7:55, anything that should have public.
Second.
All in favor?
Right.
Thank you. Please step forward, state.
Hi, my name is Beth Almer. I've been a teacher at Ritter School for the last 8 years, and just to clarify, I drive a 2014 Buick Enclave because I know there was some questions about what the teachers at Ritter drove. So, based on the results of a recent TFEA poll, 93.5% of the respondents said they want to keep fighting for a fair and equitable contract. 93.5% of the respondents understand what is in the board's proposal and are not satisfied with it. A strong majority of the TFEA is not ready to settle without a contract that addresses our concerns on salary across the pay scale and teaching minutes, to name a few of our many concerns. We are not a circus. We deserve your respect in this process. We are a group of teachers committed to a fair and equitable contract. Our negotiations team speaks for us. They are our voice. They listen to our concerns, and they are transparent with us. Please work with them to settle this contract in a respectful manner and to keep our amazing teachers here.
Hello, I'm Jenny Ruggioni, and according to your board's work session last week, a member of the circus. Per your inquiry, the car that I drive is a 2016 Jeep Cherokee. I have 114,000 miles on it. I drive over an hour to work and home every day. I was asked by my colleague to read parts of her exit interview because she wanted to ensure that all stakeholders in this district had access to why she and other teachers are resigning. She could not be here tonight because she's working her second job. Crystal Burkhart has been a dedicated teacher at Ritter School for the past 7 years. She has served as the technology teacher, gifted and talented teacher, as well as both 5th and 6th grade math Tier 3 interventionalist. Many of these positions Crystal has had to hold at the exact same time. This position takes a unique understanding of number sense and math relationships. It's not something someone can step into and be highly effective without years of training. As of now, Crystal's position will go unfilled for the remainder of the school year. Crystal cites the overwhelming amount of work as well as the low salary as the main contributing factors to her not only resigning, but seeking a career change. Crystal states, I have devoted myself tirelessly to this district for 7 years and have adapted to various roles to meet the needs of my school district. I have worked extracurricular assignments, Odyssey of the Mind tournaments, and summer school program. I took our G&T program to the state finals and won 2nd place. I had 5 members of the DOE and County Office of Ed in to observe my instructional practices last year, which was incredibly stressful. I have achieved highly effective each year since becoming a tenured teacher, and I only earn $51,700. This low income qualifies my 2 children. This low income qualifies my 2 children for state subsidized health insurance. Although income-based, more affordable than to insure my children under our health benefits package here at Franklin Township. I also receive heating and cooling assistance. I should not have to live paycheck to paycheck and qualify for multiple forms of government assistance as a state educator. That is truly disgraceful. I am a state employee on state assistance. Crystal goes on to say that there is a major disconnect between the district's emphasis and messaging on SEL and how teachers are treated as professionals. She explains in detail how the required sick notes and the lack of respect has negatively impacted this district. I encourage you to reach out to the appropriate contact in order to read her exit interview in full. Crystal ended stating that if she was compensated fairly, that she would have considered staying. Quote, "I wanted to stay here for the rest of my career, but my family simply cannot survive on this income and the foreseeable pay scale." Thank you.
Good evening, Board of Education. My name is Lauren Lascala. I've been in the district since 2015. I have volunteered to read a prepared statement for you guys tonight. I want to provide an example of the value of a veteran teacher. Many of the board members have heard or witnessed firsthand the impact that our First Friday is having over at Ritter. A veteran teacher fully developed that concept for Ritter's First Friday. That teacher saw a need in our community, came up with an idea, researched programs like it, collaborated with her peers on it, and brought it through the appropriate school channels to become the awesome program that it is. Unfortunately, that teacher has since left our district to teach elsewhere, largely due to salary concerns. And as that has occurred, we no longer have the availability to speak with her in terms of the knowledge that she possesses. I support our negotiations team, as does the TFEA. They listen to us, they speak for us. Please do what you can to keep our teachers here, settle us with a fair and equitable contract, and I thank you for your time.
Good evening. My name is Stacy Swope. I'm a TFEA member, 4th grade ELA teacher, and mother to 4 amazing sons. I noticed your sign, "Let's Settle Now," on your laptop. I would love to do that, and I'm sure our negotiations team will, as soon as we have a fair offer on the table that is comparable to all the other locals in this county, one that is fair. I want to talk about the district goal of talent acquisition and retention. And while I noticed that it's obviously a much needed one and necessary goal due to the teachers leaving in droves from this district, I find it unlikely to achieve in the way that things are now in this district. The policies that this Board of Ed makes, the actions that you take, and the disparaging remarks that you make by your teachers in this district. Since 2018, you have lost 61% of your certified staff. I think that number speaks for itself. And of those 81 members who left, only 14 left due to retirement. The others left to seek teaching jobs in more desirable districts with greater opportunities. Out of all the locals in this county, there's only one with more steps on the salary guide than ours. It now takes 20 years to get to the top of our salary guide. 20 years. I would never vote to ratify a contract that adds steps to our salary guide or more minutes to our instructional time. If I worked down the street at Delsey, just from steps 5 to 15, I would have made an extra $166,000 and taught 3.6 hours less per week. Step 15 at Delsey compared to our step 15 is 26,000 higher at Delsey. So obviously the teachers are leaving because we are grossly underpaid in this district. And it's time for this district to stop trying to penny, nickel, and dime every action here and begin to invest in the teachers and students in this district. That would lead to greater teacher retention and greater student achievement. But the teachers aren't just leaving because we're grossly underpaid. The teachers are also leaving because the low morale and the negative climate in this district. And that morale and that climate is set by leadership. Since December, we have a new policy by this Board of Ed that we have to submit a doctor's note each and every time we're out. That is such a ridiculous policy. It is such a burden. And I know of someone personally who contacted me to tell me she was offered a job in this district. She said she was offered a job here in another district, which is pretty common now with all the opportunities. And she said to me, I know you're the lowest paid in the county, and I know you're working without a contract. And I said to her, do you also know that we now need a doctor's note each and every time we're out? And she said, my mind is made up. I'm taking the offer from the other district. And she did so. 73% of teachers surveyed said they would not wear a shirt with the words imprinted, Franklin family. And the reason is simple. They would not wear the shirt because we are not treated as family here. It would not be an accurate statement. When is the last time you asked your mother for a doctor's note and she told you she was sick? The staff here has little to no incentive to save their sick days. At retirement, we must accumulate over 100 sick days to just be compensated $25 per day. The teacher's mental, emotional, and physical well-being is well worth over $25 a day. The state cap for the buyout for sick leave or sick time is $15,000. This district's cap is $5,000. $5,000 isn't worth a lot now, and due to inflation in 20 years, that's only worth $1,000. Why would teachers stay? The teachers in this district have accepted far too little for far too long, and the morale and the climate is set by leadership. It was very, very disheartening to hear the demoralizing, dismissive comments made by this board at your work sessions in both March and April. It's no wonder the staff members here do not feel respected. They do not feel valued. It's not just due to the contract with a grossly underpaid salary guide. When our board members make remarks like the circus is coming to town Monday night, I gotta tell you, as leaders of this district, you should all be wearing top hats because you set the tone. And if this district is a circus, you are the ringleaders of this circus. So congratulations. Furthermore, you made very, very disparaging remarks, demoralizing remarks about teachers with brand new cars with settle now signs in their windows. I can tell you, Board of Ed members, that the contracts and the cars that we drive are mutually exclusive, meaning one has nothing to do with the other. And I think it's very petty and small-minded for this Board of Ed to begrudge our teachers of having nice things. And very small-minded to maybe not consider that's a dual-income household. Or maybe the spouse bought the car. The spouse is making a lot of money. Or maybe that teacher, as a lot of teachers are in this district, working 2 to 3 jobs to just make ends meet. Maybe they're up to their eyeballs in debt and they're trying to make that $600 a month car payment, because driving a new car does not equate to car ownership. They're most likely making car payments on that car. But regardless, it doesn't matter the homes we live in or the cars we drive or the vacations we do or do not go on, we are still entitled to fair compensation for the jobs that we do day in and day out for the students in this district. And just for the record, I was very much trying to keep my 2012 Honda CR-V that someone totaled last year. About a year and a half ago, I was trying to keep that car till retirement because Hondas are reliable. 2012, not brand new. And unfortunately, even though I begged the mechanic to try to save it, it was totaled. So after a year of trying to find a refurbished vehicle that was in a previous accident, I was able to get another comparable SUV. Because as you know, the rate of inflation right now is 6%. My increase for the past 5 consecutive years has been less than 1%. It has hovered around 0.5%. So how do you expect teachers to stay in this district? This is the time for change. This is the time to start investing in the teachers and students in this district. And finally, I do want to applaud our amazing negotiations team who speak on my behalf and on behalf of the other 145 members of the TFEA in light of the demoralizing comments and also misinformation that has been leaked that was meant to create confusion and chaos in the community and in the membership. They have still acted with integrity, transparency, and they do represent the needs of the TFEA. So I thank them for all their hard work and dedication that has been ongoing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shute. That's a tough act to follow, and you know I don't admit that much. So, ladies and gentlemen of the board, I will restate to all of you that this is my 32nd year here in Franklin Township. Okay, you might say, well, why have you been here so long if the salary's been so low? Well, those of you that know me know that it's a lot more than salary for me. Okay, and it's a lot more than salary for most of my colleagues. However, I also for 20 years represented the TFEA. And over the course of that time, I negotiated a number of contracts with the different boards of education and five different superintendents. Mrs. Shanklin and I, okay, were around on a number of those issues. Many years ago, Mr. Stan Evans, who was a former president of this board, in a private conversation that he had with me, one-on-one, president to president, said to me that negotiations is something we have to do every 3 years. To quote from the movie The Godfather, it's business, not personal. My colleagues before me made a couple of comments about some of the comments that were made at the work session. Comments about the circus, comments about cars that teachers drive. That sounds to me like it's personal, not business. Some of the things that have happened during this negotiation process have never happened in all of my years here in Franklin Township. Never have board proposals been left in faculty rooms and main offices. While I'm sure that many Board of Education members in the past didn't agree with the position of the TFEA, I don't ever remember comments being made in public that were derogatory. And for the first time in my memory, numbers that were proposed at the negotiations table were put out in public. Ladies and gentlemen of the board, this is a process. You have a job. You're trying to keep the budget in order. You're trying to meet the needs of the taxpayers in the community. Our negotiating team has a job, and that is to get the best possible deal for the teachers. Collective bargaining is an American tradition that has gone on for over 100 years in this country. Some of you are children of union workers. Some of you, you made out because your parents and grandparents work in unions. I've never been a big union person, but I'm a big person about fairness. Things get done when both parties respect one another, and things don't get done when the waters get muddy. And they also don't get done when people who don't belong involved in the negotiation process get involved in the negotiation process. Both sides are at a point where outside guidance is needed. This is nothing new. In the interim, the members of the community need to know that the professionals in the schools will continue to provide the great education they always have, and that we also continue to provide fun activities for the children. By the way, in addition to our first Friday program at Ritter, we are planning a career day on May 30th. We only have 17 presenters. We could use a few more. So if you know anybody who wants to present their career field, a career day for our children, please let us know. We will continue to put the students first, which we always have done. And in my 32 years here, every teacher has put the students first, which is the most important thing that you as a board and the community members here should be concerned with. Both sides want to settle this contract, and we know it's going to get settled. In the interim, I ask that we let the process work the way it's supposed to work. Thank you.
Good evening. I'll be quick. Sue Buriak, TFEA president, 4th grade teacher at Main Road School. Good evening. This evening we got to hear a presentation from one of our strategic action committees. As a district, we are very well aware of the challenges we've faced and will probably continue to face in the future. The Talent Acquisition and Retention Committee did a lot of research and volunteer work since 2021. I know because I did serve on that committee before I was asked to leave. I volunteered many hours and was a very proud member as a 20-plus year veteran and representative of this district. After hearing the statistics regarding personnel and some of the comments that were made this evening, I'm puzzled by the contradiction of the words that were spoken at the work session and the fact that we have a committee that's working so hard and for so many volunteer hours to compile statistics about retaining and acquiring talent for this district, yet our words are very loosely used during board meetings and work sessions. And I shouldn't be surprised because I know I've spoken at board meetings before about some of the conduct of our board during board meetings. We've been hearing it on this side of that table for a lot of years. It doesn't go unnoticed, obviously, by your staff, and it doesn't go unnoticed by community members. So I just ask us to try to do better. Thank you.
First thing is, I drive a 2021 Dodge Ram, and I had no idea what any of you were talking about. I was at the work session, so clearly I must have to go back and listen to the tape or the video. But for you to represent any comments made about what vehicle you drive or anything to the contrary, it's not the position of the board, and I don't appreciate you painting the board with broad brushstrokes. Okay, that's the first thing. Is there a comment?
Yeah, it was said. All of us have watched the video, and we all heard it. So, and I have nothing. Brooke Sanders, non-tenured teacher. I don't put that out there. Yeah, the comments were made, multiple comments about cars and things of that nature. For me, please stop making faces like that.
I'm making a face because I don't know what you're talking about.
We just said we don't.
That's all I'm making a face at.
We're not saying it wasn't.
When we're saying
we're sure it's confused. We don't remember.
I'm not saying it didn't happen.
No, go ahead.
We can all I'll listen back to the minutes. I can make comments about things about the climate and culture that were said, geared toward the nutritionists, and saying, Jason, when they start to make comments about the nutritionist that's coming, you can say, well, this is about the climate and culture, that's why we're doing this. When we're talking about climate and culture, we're not talking about one SEL day. We're asking for just respect and human decency. Yes, and there was comments made about the car, 5-minute mark. We watched the video back because it's hurtful for us. I'm a parent in this district. My children are going to come through this district. I have 2 little babies at home. I have a 2-year-old son, I have a 1-year-old daughter. And when I had them, I chose this job because I wanted to have my children come through a district that I would be teaching in. I wanted to know my fellow educators. I wanted to know that I could respect them as my children's teacher. And some of you up here are parents to children in our district. And we love your children. And we are here to support your children. But when you are making comments about the integrity of us as teachers, it's really disheartening and disappointing. That's it. It's disappointing. And honestly, when we're hearing comments that we're clowns, or we're hearing comments about the climate and culture and making a mockery of us and saying that you're gonna put signs, let's settle now, on your computers. Yes, we want to settle, but we want to be treated fairly. That's all we're asking for. We're not asking for anything else. And when I'm sitting here, yeah, I have a great brand new Ford Explorer out there. You can go see it. I'll meet you in the parking lot. But I have 1 car in my household because I can't afford 2 cars. I can't afford it on the salary that you provide in this district. And I have sat here at every board meeting since September. Pauline Bittner is my witness. I have been here with her every single board meeting. And I have been here with my mouth shut because I'm a non-tenured teacher. And I don't want to get slapped on the wrist for being a non-tenured teacher. But I've had enough. It's not fair to sit here and disrespect us like this. And I just want to ask you to please reconsider how you are looking at us and how you are treating us as educators. Please treat us as professionals. That is what I'm asking for. Thank you.
I'll just reiterate what I said previously, is that it's not a position of the board that we have an issue with the cars we drive or anything that even close to that. Again, I'll go back and listen to the tape myself. I mean, I was at the meeting, but I can't allow you to sit here and make a comment to the board saying that the board is taking a certain position that we're not taking. So I just want that to be clear. Is there any other comments from any other board members regarding that?
I think that's you about that.
I will. Yeah, I said that I will.
And I think that's something that, as a president, and as a leader, I think you should reflect on that.
Again, I can't find all comments that I didn't hear and what the context of them were. And I will tell you right now that I will file with the guy that listened to the meeting. Because again, I was there. I didn't hear them.
I would appreciate it.
But somewhere you guys heard them, so I'll certainly hear them.
It may not be a reflection of the board as a whole, but it was certainly made by different members, which we found to be disrespectful.
Okay, I can appreciate that. Are there any other public comments?
Mr. Brandt, may I just add one thing, please? Okay, and I just want to go back to the last thing I said. This has become a real contentious process. Things have been done that have never been done before. And I also think that the leadership that's being shown or not shown by certain people in this room, not necessarily members of the board, shows us everything we need to know about how much lack of respect we have. All right? I am asking you guys on behalf of everybody here, please, we've done some things here that have never been done before. Okay, Ms. Shanklin, you've been involved in more negotiations than anybody else on this board that have never been done before. Let's get rid of all the stuff Let's put it aside and let's get this thing done. Thank you.
John, perhaps you should get back on the negotiations committee and think of this.
The committee? I served my time, please. That's my time.
Yeah, I just want to make sure, Mr. Walden, I'm going to assume that anyone who comes to speak to the board has no repercussions for anything that they say in their workplace, correct?
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to close the public. Second. All in favor? We don't have a need for executive session, so we'll just let it update support on this other. That's what we're talking about.
Well, I don't want to say.
You're saying the marijuana.
Never mind, I'm not gonna say.
Why are you saying it?
Never mind, I won't.
I told previously, prior to this evening's meeting, had a joint meeting with Al Newfield and Delphi regarding the regionalization stuff. So we got to update the board and in case there's any questions regarding that, that was second. And you also have the legal, potential litigation issue that you want to discuss.
Yes.
So those two items, is there anything else? We will not take any action as we come out of the executive session for any of those we don't wish to stay, the law will take one. I will just touch on next day of the meeting, May 22nd, 6 o'clock, that's our work session. So this time I need a motion to move to executive session for approximately 15 minutes to discuss potential litigation and contract I make that motion. All fair. 8:43. Second. All favor. All right, make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor.
Aye.
Thank you.